Dora Kappa. Good evening. Am I audible and visible? Am I audible and visible? Am I audible and visible? Panyala, good evening once again. Students, am I audible and visible? All clear? Am I audible and visible? Hello? Yes, okay. Thank you. Can we begin? Jia, Panyala, Dikshit. Okay, so we have discussed Babur and Humayun. Now let us come to Akbar. Now in the Mughal chapter, Akbar is the most important personality. So we need to talk about the conquest of Akbar, the Mansabdari system established by Akbar, the administrative superstructure of the Mughal Empire established by him, the revenue reforms of Akbar, the religious policy of Akbar. These are all the areas where we have to cover Akbar. Now, as you all know, when Humayun died suddenly at Delhi, while coming down the steps of his library, he died. Akbar was just 13 years, 4 months old. So he was born at Umair Court, as you can see here on your screen. He was born at Umar Court or Umair Court, now in Sindh, in 1542, in the palace of Raja Prasad Singh Virasal. And his real name, Abul Fath Jalaluddin Muhammad Akbar. That was his real name. He was crowned at Kalanaur, and he was about 13 years, 4 months old when his father, Humayun, died. He was crowned by Bairam Khan. So at Kalanaur, he was crowned by Bairam Khan, who was a trusted officer of Humayun. And he had been deputed by Humayun, Bairam Khan, to take care of Akbar and help him run the administration of Punjab. So this is the place of Akbar's coronation, as you can see on your screen. So this is the place where he was exactly coronated, exact place where he was coronated. But then I told you, Bairam Khan along with Akbar marched towards Delhi. They began to march towards Delhi with whatever army they had. But by the time they reached Delhi, Delhi had again been conquered by Delhi had again gone away from the hands of the Mughals. It had been conquered by Hemu, the commander-in-chief of the ruler of Bihar. Am I audible and visible? Hello? Am I audible and visible? Visible finally. Okay. Can we move on? Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Right. So here, so suddenly something happened, but I have refreshed it and I've come back. So where was I? Where did I stop? Um, where did I stop? So we were looking at Akbar. So have a petticoat government have done. I told you what is petticoat government. The women of Akbar's family ran the administration for some time. 1556 to 60 is called Bairam Khan's regency. Then 1580 to 81. 1580 to 81. We have Mirza Hakim, Akbar's half brother, who was the governor, who was the king of Kabul. So he was the ruler of Kabul. He tried to attack India, instigated by the rebels. He attacked India, but he was defeated by Akbar, and Akbar pardoned him. Then we have Abdullah Khan Uzbek. Abdullah Khan Uzbek, the Uzbek leader, he was wanting to conquer Kandahar from the Mughals, and Akbar was equally determined to see that Kandahar remains with the Mughals. And for 12 years, Akbar spent most of his time in the northwest frontier to inspire and motivate his soldiers to keep fighting against the Uzbeks. And only when he heard about the death of Abdullah Khan Uzbek that Akbar came back to the capital. Otherwise, he would spend most of his time in the border areas. That's how determined Akbar was. Am I there with you? Hello. Audible, visible? Can I move on? So let us look at the conquest of Akbar. Hello. Let us look at the conquest of Akbar and then we'll come to other aspects of his rule. Okay. Yes, for some time connection was down for everyone. Yes, connection was down for everyone for some time. Jia, is it okay now, all of you? Can we move? Can I move on? So let us look at the conquest of Akbar. So first of all, we have the conquest of Malwa. Malwa was conquered from Baz Bahadur in 1561. So Akbar came to power in 1560 and he ruled continuously for 45 years, till 1605. So he ruled from 1560 to 1605. A long period of 45 years rule. He ruled for 45 years. So in 1561, this was the first conquest of Akbar. He conquered Malwa from Baz Bahadur, and Baz Bahadur became one of Akbar's Mansabdars, that is one of the officers in Akbar's court. Then Martha and Marwar was conquered. Martha and Marwar, rulers of Marwar, Bikaner, and Jaisalmer submitted to Akbar. Garkatanga in Gondwana was conquered from Rani Durgavati. So she refused to submit before Akbar. Now please understand, Akbar gave a very special position to the Rajputs. He told the Rajput rulers that if they accept Akbar as their overlord and agree to pay tribute, that is, send a certain amount of money every year to the court of Akbar and accept Akbar as his overlord, then he'll allow them to rule. So initially, many Rajputs resisted. They refused to accept Akbar as their overlord. But then Akbar defeated them in the war. In the wars, he defeated them, and when they were defeated, then they agreed to accept Akbar as their overlord, and he gave back their kingdom and he allowed them to rule. So later, many Rajputs voluntarily submitted. Initially, they resisted. So initially, you can see here, Martha and Marwar, Bikaner, Jaisalmer, they all submitted before Akbar. Garkatanga in Gondwana, it was ruled by Rani Durgavati. So she refused to submit before Akbar. So she fought bravely with her son Bir Narayan. So she had a son called Bir Narayan, and both of them died fighting on the battlefield. And Garkatanga was conquered by Akbar. Then we have the conquest of Chittor, a part of Chittor. So we have Rana Uday Singh II. So Rana Uday Singh II was a ruler, and Akbar wanted to conquer a part of Chittor. What was the reason why he wanted to conquer Chittor? You see, the reason why he wanted to conquer a part of Chittor was the route to Malwa and Gujarat was through southern Chittor. The route to Malwa and Gujarat was through the southern part of Chittor. And if he conquers a part of Chittor, then Chittor in Rajasthan, then he can also make his inroads into the Deccan. He can also conquer the Deccan if he wants to. But then Chittor was ruled by the Sisodias of Mewar, and the king was Uday Singh II, Rana Uday Singh II. Now, so when Akbar, with a 30,000 strong army, with an army of 30,000, he attacked Chittor. Rana Uday Singh II escaped with his family members. So his son was Rana Pratap. And he was still a young boy. So Rana Uday Singh with his queens and Rana Pratap, they escaped. And two Rajput commanders by name Jaimal and Patta. So Jaimal and Patta. They fought against Akbar's army. So they had an army of 3,000 soldiers, and they fought bravely. They were defending the fort of Chittor. Akbar was equally determined to conquer Chittor. And then in the evening, So a certain amount of damage had been done to the fort wall of Chittor. So in the evening, Akbar saw from a far distance in the dusk, in the dusk, it was not fully dark in the evening. So he saw some important person getting the fort wall repaired of Chittor. So looking at the dress that person was wearing, the type of garments or dress he was wearing, he felt he was an important person. So Akbar took aim and shot at his leg. And that bullet went and hit the leg of Jaimal. So Jaimal was wounded. He fell down on the other side of the fort. And that evening, there was Jauhar. So you see fire coming out of the fort of Chittor. Women were committing Jauhar. And next day, as part of the Saka ritual, Jaimal and Patta came out fighting. Jaimal had been bandaged, his leg had been bandaged. And once Jaimal was wounded, they lost hope. And they fought very bravely. Jaimal and Patta they fought very bravely, and they died on the battlefield. Akbar was so much impressed with their bravery that he ordered two marble statues, black marble statues of Jaimal and Patta sitting on elephants with their spears, be installed outside the main gate of the Agra fort. So, according to his orders, two huge marble statues of Jaimal and Patta sitting on their elephants with spears, holding, each of them is holding a spear in their hand, was installed outside the main gate of the Agra fort. But then, over a period of time, the marble deteriorated, crumbled up, and only the defaced statues of Jaimal and Patta remain. Later, it was taken and kept in the Red Fort. In the Red Fort, Delhi, we have the Delhi Gate and the Lahori Gate. Outside the Delhi Gate, we have the statues of Jaimal and Patta. You can see on your screen, these are the statues of Jaimal and Patta, right? Outside the Delhi Gate of the Red Fort, Jaimal and Patta. So Akbar conquered a part of Chittor, and then the Rajput states of Ranthambore were captured. Bikaner submitted before Akbar. Then Akbar conquered Gujarat from Muzaffar Shah III, and he built the Buland Darwaza at Fatehpur Sikri in commemoration of this. So Buland Darwaza at Fatehpur Sikri. So please understand, Akbar founded a city called Fatehpur Sikri. So he did not have children for a long time. Akbar did not have any children for a long time. So there was one Sufi saint called Sheikh Salim Chishti. Sheikh Salim Chishti. So Akbar went to this saint called Sheikh Salim Chishti, and he opened up his heart and mind. He told him that though he has many wives, nobody has a child. He doesn't have any children. So Sheikh Salim Chishti prayed to God Allah on behalf of Akbar, and then he blessed him and assured Akbar that he will not have one, but he'll have many children, and he should not be worried about that. Ultimately, a son was born to Akbar, and that boy was named Salim. That boy was named Salim after the saint Sheikh Salim Chishti. And in honor of this saint, Sheikh Salim Chishti, Akbar founded a city which he called Fatehpur Sikri. He called the city Fatehpur Sikri, about 40 kilometers away from Agra, Fatehpur Sikri. So at Fatehpur Sikri, Akbar built the tallest gateway in the world. The tallest gateway in the world. It is called Buland Darwaza. You can see here on your screen, this is the Buland Darwaza. It is 177 feet in height. It is even now the world's largest gateway, 177 feet in height. And this has been built on a ridge. So after conquering Gujarat, he built the Buland Darwaza at Fatehpur Sikri. Okay, now please understand. Then he conquers Bengal. As you can see on your screen, he conquers Bengal from the Karani ruler Daud. Then we have the famous Battle of Haldigati. This was fought between Rana Uday Singh II's son, Rana Pratap, and Akbar's commander Man Singh. Now, a part of Chittor had been conquered, but then he wanted something more from the southern part of Chittor, Akbar. And Akbar wanted Rana Pratap to accept Akbar as his overlord, And he sent four embassies. To see that Rana Pratap accepts Akbar as his overlord. So, who are the four? Which are the four embassies sent by Akbar? You can see on your screen. He sent, first of all, Jalal Khan Kurchi. So Jalal Khan Kurchi was one of the friends of Akbar, very close to Akbar. So he sent one of his ministers to convince Rana Pratap to accept Akbar as overlord. So Rana Pratap said, nothing doing. Why should I accept Akbar or anybody as my overlord? So Jalal Khan Kurchi failed in his mission. Then he sent Man Singh. Now, before I proceed, understand this. So, before I proceed, let me tell you who's Man Singh. Now, look here. Akbar, um, he was going on a pilgrimage um, to Ajmer, to the Dargah of, Sheikh Muinuddin Chishti. So, we have this famous Dargah at Ajmer of Sheikh Muinuddin, Sheikh Muinuddin Chishti at Ajmer in Rajasthan. And so Akbar was going on a pilgrimage. He was going on a pilgrimage to this dargah to seek to seek the blessings of the saint, Sheikh Muinuddin Chishti dargah, to offer his respects to the saint. And on the way, he was taking rest in a particular place. One Rajput king came to Akbar. So Rajput king, what was the name of this Rajput king? Raja Bharamal Kachwaha. Raja Bharamal Kachwaha of Amer. He was the king of Amer. Amer, this is the old name of Jaipur. Those days was called Amer. So he was the king of Amer or Jaipur, Raja Bharamal Kachwaha. So he comes to Akbar, this Raja Bharamal Kachwaha, and tells Akbar. Akbar was taking rest in some place on the way to this pilgrimage to Ajmer. So Raja Bharamal Kachwaha came to Akbar on his own and tells Akbar that he would like to give his daughter in marriage to Akbar. Akbar was surprised because here a Rajput king, Hindu king is wanting to give his daughter in marriage voluntarily to Akbar. So Akbar thought about it for some time. He thought about it, and and since he was going on a pilgrimage, he felt that probably it is the wish of Lord Allah, no, God Allah. It must be a divine wish. It must be a divine wish because he's going on a pilgrimage, and girl's father is coming and wanting to give his daughter in marriage to him. So he agreed to marry his daughter. So who was this? Who was this girl? Her name was Harkabai. Harkabai. So Akbar married Harkabai, and Harkabai was given a new name after her marriage, Maryam uz Zamani. Maryam uz Zamani. And Harkabai became the mother to Akbar's son. What was the name of Akbar's son? Jahangir. So she became the mother to Jahangir, the next emperor, Harkabai. Now, Bharamal Kachwaha's son, understand this, Bharamal. So, um, so here, Bharamal Kachwaha's son was Raja Bhagwant Das. Understand this? Raja, so Bharamal Kachwaha's son was Raja Bhagwant Das. And Raja Bhagwant Das's son was Man Singh, Raja Man Singh. So these two, Raja Bhagwant Das and Man Singh, served Akbar under various capacities, as Mansab Das, Raja Bhagwant Das and Raja Man Singh. Did you understand who's Man Singh now? Raja Bharamal Kachwaha's grandson. Son of Raja Bharamal was Bhagwant Das, and Bhagwant Das' son was Raja Man Singh. Okay, now Akbar sent just hold on. So Akbar sent four embassies. One was Jalal Khan Kurchi. The second was Man Singh. So Man Singh also failed to convince Rana Pratap. Then the third embassy was under Raja Bhagwant Das. Rana Pratap again refused. And fourthly, Raja Todarmal was sent, Akbar's finance minister. And Rana Pratap said he will not, at any cost, bow down before Akbar or accept Akbar as his overlord. So it was inevitable now that there had to be a war. And then happened the famous Battle of Haldigati, the Battle of Haldigati, June the 18th, 1576, Battle of Haldigati. Nikhil says outside the gate also signify he possibly degraded them as watchmen. Jaimalin Patta, Nikhil. Jaimalin Patta. No, if he wanted to degrade them as watchmen, why would he want to install them on an elephant with spears? He would have made them to stand, two statues, of they standing, like a watchman. He would have done that. Why would he want to make them sit on elephants with a spear in his hand? So I would not agree with you, Nikhil. Right? We'll come back here. So, Battle of Haldigati. So why is it called Haldi Ghati? Ghati is, valley. Valley is Ghati is a ghat is a valley. Haldi is turmeric. So turmeric color. That's called Haldi. So here the valley ghat had, the type of sand or mud which is available in this area is turmeric in color. That's why it's called Haldi Ghati. And then we have the famous Battle of Haldi Ghati. What happened in this battle? So Man Singh was the commander, Mughal commander. He was on his elephant. And the Mughals attacked Chittor, and Rana Pratap was on his famous horse, Chetak. So it has become part of folklore in Rajasthan, the bravery and the loyalty of this horse. And I have put a picture here, you can see here. This is the board printed by, what you call painted there. This is the Chetak Smarak. You can see here, this is the Chetak Smarak. The horse died having saved its master. So here, I believe there were two horses, Natak and Chetak. So Natak was one horse, Natak, and the other was Chetak. So these two were local Kathiawari breeds. So it was a Kathiawari colt, a local breed horse, Kathiawari colt. Kathiawari breed. It was not an Arabian horse, it was a Kathiawari colt. So here, I believe, one Arabian horse merchant brought two horses, and he was charging a very huge price for these horses. He told these two animals are apt for the Maharana of the prestige and the bravery of Maharana. And these two horses are the apt horses for him, and he was charging a huge amount of price. So Natak was asked to perform feats. So it performed various feats of bravery, impressing everybody, including Rana Pratap. But then Natak got injured. So therefore, Rana Pratap decided to, make Chetak as his horse because Natak could not run because it got injured. So he chose Chetak, and Chetak became his mount. So as you can see here on your screen, when the war began, Rana Pratap was on his horse Chetak, and Man Singh was on his elephant. So as the war began, Chetak is supposed to have ridden. Rana Pratap was on his horse Chetak, and the horse uh, stood before the elephant on its hind legs. It stood before the elephant on its hind legs, and with its front legs, it is supposed to have hammered the forehead of the elephant with its hoofs. So it stood straight, 90 degrees, and hammered the head of the elephant with its hoofs. The elephant was shocked, and and it rose. It lifted its legs to protect itself, and in the process of doing so, Man Singh fell down from the elephant. Now, how do I know this? Is look here. You read this. Whatever you can see this picture here. So the elephant, rose, lifted its front legs, and it wanted to avoid the beating the horse was giving on its forehead. That is the time when Rana Pratap threw the spear at Man Singh, and thus that spear missed its target and hit the Mahout. The Mahout was killed. Man Singh escaped, and he fell down from the elephant. So quickly, the Mughals gathered around Man Singh. They gave protection to Man Singh, and Man Singh quickly mounted another horse. But in this process, what happened is, I believe both Man Singh, both Rana Pratap and the horse were injured. So with great difficulty, the horse, carrying its mount, Rana Pratap, was being chased by the Mughals, and the horse was running as fast as it could, though it was injured severely. And then it took a glorious leap, a final leap across a stream. And then that way it saved the master. But then after that, it could not run. It fell down and it died. So, and I believe Rana Pratap is supposed to have cried over the death of his horse. So the Indian Army helicopter, one of the choppers, is named Chetak after this horse. So you can see the Chetak mentioned on the Indian Army helicopter, or I think Indian Air Force helicopter. You know, Chetak. So here, a part of again Chittor was conquered by the Mughals. Rana Pratap, made Golgunda as his headquarters. He chose another capital called Golgunda. So Golgunda became his capital, and he continued to engage in guerrilla warfare after that. But then, after 1585, Akbar did not send any campaign against Rana Pratap. He defeated him, he weakened him severely. But then, after that, he did not send any campaign against Rana Pratap because he felt he was no more a threat to him. So this is the so among the traditional lions of Indian history, he is one of them, Rana Pratap. So we have three traditional lions in Indian history, but known for their bravery. Three traditional lions of Indian history. One is, of course, Rana Pratap of Mewar, Rana Pratap of Mewar. The second is, of course, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, Chhatrapati Shivaji. And third is Maharaja Ranjit Singh, Maharaja Ranjit Singh, the 18th century ruler of Punjab. These are the three traditional lions of Indian history. Now, please understand, Akbar was the second man in the history of India. He was the second king in the history of India to establish a scientific defensive frontier. He was the second ruler in the history of India to establish the so-called scientific defensive frontier. So, what is the meaning of the scientific defensive frontier? That is, the natural boundaries of India. The natural boundaries of India end here. That's called scientific defensive frontier. So the conquest of Kabul, when you conquer all these areas, Kabul, Kandahar, Sindh, and Balochistan, you are supposed to establish a scientific defensive frontier. Natural boundaries of India end here. So he was the second man in the history of India to conquer or establish a scientific defensive frontier by conquering all these four areas. So naturally, the question arises: who was the first? Who were the other two? The first to achieve this feat were the Mauryas. Mauryas were the first to conquer these areas. Second was Akbar. And the third time, it was done by the English East India Company. The English East India Company. The Mauryas, Akbar, and English East India Company. Yeah, Gogunda. Vandana, you're right. So, scientific defensive frontier. He was the second man, a second ruler in the history of India to establish a scientific defensive frontier. That is where the natural boundaries of India end, by conquering Kabul, Kandahar, Sindh, and Balochistan. Are you there with me, all of you? Clear? Okay. Gaurav is asking if UPSC asks Man Singh is a traitor or a friend for India. Now, how many can you answer? How many of you can answer that question? Kabul, Kennedy, Kabul. Kabul. First is, of course, Mauryas. Gaurav is saying if UPSC will not ask such a question, Gaurav, but then let us try to answer this. Let's see what others think. So, if UPSC asks Man Singh is a traitor or a friend for India. Nikhil, traitor to Rajputs, friend to Mughals. Okay, what about others? Mauryas is not outsider. Sorry. So Mauryas were the first to conquer these areas: Kabul, Kandahar, Sindh, Balochistan. Second was Akbar. Third was English East India Company. Concept of India in the modern sense did not exist at that time. Okay, Jia. Okay. Friend to Mughals. Okay, let me ask you a question, Gaurav. What about Rani Lakshmi Bai? Rani Lakshmi Bai of Jhansi. Tell me if she is a, whether you can call her as a traitor or a friend. Gaurav of Jhansi. See, why did she rebel? Yeah, Nikhil. See, Rani Lakshmi Bai, she rebelled because the British refused to recognize her son as the lawful ruler of Jhansi. She had an adopted child. They refused to recognize that adopted child as the lawful ruler of Jhansi. Then she, fought against the British, which means to say that in case the British had recognized her adopted son as the lawful ruler of Jhansi, then she wouldn't have fought against the British. So how will you answer that? So the point I'm trying to make is, uh, you see, many of the so they had selfish interest. Many of the rulers had selfish interest during those days, depending upon what suited them, right? What suited them. So that's the whole thing, right? So we'll come back here. So therefore, here to say that no, see, he gave them a choice. What was Akbar's ambition? He said, you accept me as your overlord. I'll allow you to rule over your kingdom. All the Rajputs accepted Akbar as their overlord, except the Sisodias of Mewar. So would that make the other Rajput rulers as traitors? So you cannot use modern concepts here. Those days things were different. It was about survival. It's about survival and taking, safeguarding their own kingdoms and their people. So, whatever policies the kings followed, they would take the interest of their subjects into consideration. Okay, there was no question of traitor or anything like that. It was about their own self-interest and also the interest of their subjects. So that's how I would put it. So we'll come back here. So he was the second man in the history of India to establish scientific defensive frontier. Right. So look here on your screen. So, but Rana Pratap, then remember these four embassies sent by Akbar to placate Rana Pratap. All those embassies failed. Then he conquers Kashmir, Kabul from his half brother Mirza Muhammad Hakim. Man Singh was made the governor of Kabul. Orissa, Kandahar, Ahmednagar, and Asirgarh. Ahmednagar was annexed, a part of Ahmednagar was annexed from Chand Bibi, Nizam's rise of Ahmednagar. Then Asirgarh, he conquered Asirgarh. This was the last conquest of Akbar. Asirgarh in northwest Deccan. Northwest Deccan, right? So these are the conquests of Akbar. Are you there with me, all of you? So last conquest of Akbar, you can I'll come back here. Just hold on. We'll look at the other aspects of Akbar's rule. So then Khandesh was the first Deccan state to submit. So Akbar sent embassies to all the Bahmani kingdoms, Bijapur, Golconda, Ahmednagar, Bidar, Birar. But then only Khandesh was the first Deccan state to submit. All the others did not submit before Akbar. Why? Because of the distance. They were also powerful, but then the distance between Delhi and South India was huge. So they did not, submit before Akbar. And Akbar sent an army under his son Danial, Prince Danial. And a part of Ahmednagar was conquered from Chand Bibi. So Khandesh was the first Deccan state to submit. Uh, then on a visit to Ajmer shrine of Khwaja Moinuddin Chishti. So you have the shrine at Ajmer, Khwaja Moinuddin Chishti. He received the submission of the Rajput ruler Bahramal Kachwaha. I told you Akbar married his daughter Harkabai, who later became the mother to Jahangir. So she was given a new name, Mariam Uzzamani. Mariam, you can remember Mariam Uzzamani. She became the mother to Salim. Salim, who took the title of Jahangir when he became the emperor. Right, this is the Dargah of Sheikh Khwaja Moinuddin Chishti at Ajmer. His last conquest was Asirgarh. Asirgarh was the last conquest of Akbar in 1601. He conquers Asirgarh. In 1605, Akbar dies at Sikandra. He has been buried at Sikandra. You can see near Agra. This is Sikandra, Akbar's burial at Sikandra near Agra. So Akbar had started building his own tomb even in his lifetime, but he could not see its completion. Akbar died, and then Jahangir made some changes to the design of Akbar's tomb. So we can see temperamental differences between father and son. So Jahangir made a lot of changes to Akbar's original design, how Akbar wanted to have his tomb. So a lot of changes have been made by Jahangir. So he has been buried at Sikandra near Agra. Right? These are the conquests of Akbar. Okay? These are the conquests of Akbar. So let us talk about other aspects of Akbar's rule, Mansabdari system, administrative changes brought about by Akbar, no, the foundation of administrative superstructure led by Akbar, the religious policy of Akbar, revenue reforms of Akbar. So Akbar is the most important topic in Mughal chapter. We'll talk about Akbar's other aspects of his rule. So first of all, let me talk to you about the foundation of the administrative superstructure of the Mughal Empire laid by Akbar. So we'll talk about, you can see here on your screen, land revenue system. I'll come to that in some time. Just hold on. So Akbar is a person who laid the foundation of the Mughal administrative superstructure. So here the entire country, the entire empire was divided into provinces. Understand this? The empire was divided into provinces. So the empire was divided into provinces. Provinces were called subas. Provinces were called subas. Provinces were subdivided into districts. Provinces were subdivided into districts called sarkars. Sarkars. Below the district came a pargana, something like a taluk. I'll use the word taluk, but yeah, a group of villages, something like a taluk. That's called paragana. Paragana. And then below the taluk came a village. So empire was divided into provinces called subas, districts called sarkars, taluks called parganas, and village. Now, Akbar appointed the officials of the provinces, districts, and parganas directly. The central government appointed the officials of the provinces, districts, and taluks. And you have a uniform system of administration introduced by Akbar in all the provinces. You can see here on your screen. Just hold on. So here, so in 1580, understand this. In 1580, there were 12 subas. There were 12 subas. Then by the time Akbar died in 1605, there were 15 subas by the time he died because new areas had been conquered. Um, under Shah Jahan, there were 19 subas with additional areas being conquered. He conquered Ahmednagar and other areas. Then, of course, Aurangzeb. Under Aurangzeb, we have 21 subas. So 1580, 12 subas, 1605, 15 subas by the time Akbar died. Under Shah Jahan, 19 subas, and under Aurangzeb, 21 subas. Now, let us look at the important officials at the provincial level, district level, taluk level, and village level. Okay, so this foundation of Mughal administration was laid by Akbar. He was the one who divided the empire like this: provinces, districts, taluks, and village. Now, on your screen. So here at the provincial level, you have provinces were called subas, as you can see, subas. So there was a subedar or a sipah salar or a naim. He was the governor of the province. Subedar, sipah salar, or naim. He was the head of the province, governor. Subedar was assisted by a faujdar in the discharge of his duties, in the discharge of his executive functions, and in maintenance of peace. And Akbar took away from the Subedar the right of inflicting capital punishment. So the Subedar could not give death sentence. Capital punishment means death sentence. So the Subedar could not give death sentence. Death sentence. Now, the Fauzdar acted as a check upon the powers of the Subedar. So he appointed two officers of equal rank at the Suba level, so that they can balance each other out. Okay, if all the powers are in the hands of one officer, it might lead to arbitrariness, misuse of power. Akbar did not want that. So therefore, he appointed another officer of equal rank to the Subedar. That is the Fauzdar. Then all these officials assisted the Subedar in the discharge of his functions. On your screen. So I'll use another font, another color. You have a Diwan. So Diwan was in charge of finance. Finance of the Suba. Diwan. So I'll write here, finance. Bakshi was in charge of the army. Army at the provincial level. Are you able to see that? Hello? Are you able to see that? Class? Clear? Hello? Yeah. So Diwan was in charge of finance. Bakshi was the officer who looked after the army at the provincial level. Sadar was in charge of religious affairs. Sadar. Religious affairs. Qazi was the judge. Islamic judge, Qazi. Vakya Navis was the news reporter. Okay, Vakya Navis was a news reporter. Bayutat, keeper of government property and official trustee. Muhtasib, censor of public morals. Censor of public morals. So what is the meaning of censor of public morals? See, as a Muslim, you are supposed to pray 5 times in a day. There are certain strict rules for a Muslim. Strict Muslim is supposed to pray 5 times in a day. He's not supposed to consume alcohol, bhang, mind altering substances like alcohol, bhang, etc., etc. So the Muhtasib will see that these rules are strictly followed and nobody is violating it. So that is called censor of public morals, Muhtasib. Did you get me? So these officials were appointed in each of the provinces. So in every province there was a Subedar assisted by a Fauzdar, and all these officials, Diwan, Bakshi, Sadar, Qazi, Vakya Navis, Bayutat, Muhtasib were appointed in all the Subas. This is number one. Then below the provinces came the Sarkar, district. You have a district, Sarkar, under a Amil Munsif Amal Gusa. He was a revenue head in charge of revenue administration. Amil Munsif Amal Gusa, assisted by a Khazanadar, treasurer, Karkun, clerks and accountants, Kotwal, chief of city police, chief of the city police. So district head was Amil Munsif Amal Guzar, in charge of revenue administration. Then below the district came the Taluk or the Pargana. Pargana, Taluk, under a Shikdar. So Kanango was the revenue head of the Taluk or Pargana. He assessed revenue, gave loans to farmers, Takkavi loans to buy seeds, to dig up a well, etc. Maintained records. His was a hereditary office. Kanango was a hereditary office. So Kanango was called Desai in Deccan and Gujarat. Then you have a police head at the Taluk level or the Pargana level. He was a Daruga. So Kotwal, you can see here, he was the head of the city police at the district level. Daroga was the police head at the Pargana level. Daroga, right? And the Fauzdar was in charge of a number of Parganas, but not usually an entire Sarkar. So, no, this is an extra information. So you can put in a bracket here. So you see, Fauzdar assisted the Subedar at the provincial level. But then Fauzdar was in charge of a number of Parganas, but not usually an entire Sarkar as such. Village was under a village headman. And there was a Patwari accountant. He maintained a revenue book called Bahi or Bihi. So that is in that book, which farmer has to pay how much amount of money has land revenue. All those details were mentioned. Right. So yeah, okay. Kanango post exists in Haryana. Maybe Gaurav, I did not know that. Okay, great. Kanango Patwari post still exists in Haryana. Okay, good. See, please understand, Akbar was copying many of the revenue reforms of Sher Shah. Sher Shah is called the forerunner of Akbar. I'll come to Sher Shah later. Akbar was actually copying many aspects of Sher Shah's revenue reforms. Raja Todarmal, who was the revenue minister under Akbar, also had served under Sher Shah. So, Akbar was copying many of the administrative reforms of Sher Shah, right? So, we'll come to Sher Shah later. So, here, this is how the empire had been divided by Akbar. Are you there with me? So, empire was divided into provinces, subdivided into districts, taluk, and village. All clear? Clear? Okay. Now, let us talk about the Mansabdari system of Akbar. Mansabdari system of Akbar. Okay. Now, look here. Mansabdari system. Mansabdari. So, what is this Mansabdari system of Akbar? Introduced by Akbar. So, please understand, Akbar divided the entire administration and assigned ranks to officers. So, he divided the entire administration and assigned ranks to all officers, civil and military. So, understand this, except except the religious and judicial departments, all officers were assigned ranks. So all officers in Akbar's administration, whether they were in the civil or military departments, were assigned ranks, except in the religious and judicial departments. No rank was assigned to officers in the religious and judicial departments of the government. So these ranks were divided into, so rank means mansab. Mansab means rank. Mansab is equal to rank. Rank means mansab. These mansabs were divided into two categories, Zat and Sawar. Zat and Sawar. Now, so mansabs are divided into two categories, Zat and Sawar. So, very simple this is, so don't get confused, very simple. I'm trying to simplify it as much as possible. Zat. So, what is Zat? Zat determined the status and salary of the mansabdar. I'll write M for mansabdar. Okay, so it determined the status and salary of a mansabdar. Zat. So if you give me permission, I'll use another word. In present day context, it is used. No, औकात. तुम्हारी औकात क्या है? No, level क्या है? Zat. Zat determined the status and salary of the mansabdar. Did you understand? Can you raise your hands? Do you understand? Zat determined the status and salary of the mansabdar. And then Sawar. Understand this? So Zat, take for example, you have group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4, or class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4. So group 1 or class 1 officer, he can sign with a green pen, no, gazetted post, gazetted officer, he can sign with green color ink. Class 4 would be peons, right? Like that. Now, the starting salary of a class 1 officer or group A officer is different compared to a group D employee. So like that, Zat determined the status and salary of a mansabdar. And Sawar, understand this, Sawar determined, fixed the number of troopers with horses and equipment to be maintained by a mansabdar. Sawar fixed the number of troopers fix the number of troopers. Fix the number. Fix the number of troopers with horses and equipment. With horses, understand this, horses and equipment to be maintained by a Mansabdar. Savar rank, fix the number of troopers with horses and equipment to be maintained by a Mansabdar. Okay, so what is it? Who is a trooper? A trooper is somebody who will sit on the horse and fight. So it's fixed. So trooper is somebody who will sit on the horse and he will fight. So it fixed the number of troopers with horses and equipment to be maintained by a Mansabdar. Okay, and for every Savar, a Mansabdar, you can see here, was paid at the rate of 240 per annum over and above his salary. For every Savar, a Mansabdar was paid at the rate of 240 rupees per annum over and above his salary. Now look here. Now what is the meaning of this? Fix the number of troopers with horses and equipment to be maintained by a Mansabdar. So are you clear till here? Zaat determined the status and salary of a Mansabdar, and Savar rank fixed the number of troopers with horses and equipment to be maintained by a Mansabdar. For example, let us say there is a Mansabdar. Okay, let me take an example. Let us say there's a Mansabdar of 500 Zaat. So his rank is 500 Zaat and 500 Savar. His rank is 500 Zaat and 500 Savar. So this Mansabdar, who has a rank of 500 Zaat and 500 Savar, has to maintain a certain number of animals, troops, etc. with him. For example, let us say he is supposed to maintain, let's say, infantry. So infantry, horses, camels, mules, carts, bullock carts, elephants. So infantry, let us say he has to maintain, let us say 250 infantry soldiers. Horses, let's say he is supposed to maintain about 25 horses. Camels, 50 camels. Mules, let us say 75 mules. Carts, bullock carts, let us say 100 bullock carts. Elephants, let us say 25 elephants. This was fixed. Right. Now, let's say there's a Mansabdar with a higher Zaat and Savar rank. Let's say 5,000 Zaat, 5,000 Zaat and 5,000 Savar rank. So, conversely, he has to maintain more number of infantry, more horses, more camels, more mules, more carts, more elephants. For example, the same person of 5,000 Zaat, 5,000 Savar, he might have to maintain, let us say, an infantry of, let us say, um, let's say 500 or 1,000 soldiers. Horses, he maintains 250 horses. Camels, 500 camels. Mules, let's say 250 mules. Carts, let's say 400 carts. And elephants, let us say 100 elephants. So more the Zat and more the Savar rank, he has to have more liability. He has to maintain more number of troops, horses, camels, elephants, etc. Are you there with me till here? Are you there with me till here? All of you, can you raise your hands? Can I move on? Hello? Okay, now I'm coming to that, Kennedy. Just hold on. Right now, there were three categories of Mansabdars. There were three ranks of Mansabdars. I'll use another page here. So there were three ranks of Mansabdar, three categories of Mansabdars. So you can see here on your screen. So I'll put a chart here. You make a chart like this, easy to remember. Okay. So Zat and Sawar. Zat and Sawar. Now, who is the first category Mansabdar? Category number one, first category Mansabdar. Those whose Sawar rank, understand, those whose Sawar rank was equal to their Zat rank. For example, Sawar rank 500, Zat rank 500. This is the first category Mansabdar. Those whose Zat rank was equal to Sawar rank. Number one, first category Mansabdar. Second category Mansabdar. Sorry. Second category Mansabdar. Those whose Sawar rank was more than half of the Zat rank. So what is the half of 500? What is the half of 500? 250. Yeah. So those whose Sawar rank was more than half of the Zat rank. So let us say 300. Half of 500 is 250. So more than half would be, let us say, 300. This is second category Mansabdar. Then third category Mansabdar. Those whose Sawar rank was less than half of their Zat rank. So Zat rank is 500. Less than half. Half of 500 is 250. Less than half is, let us say, 200. These are the three categories of Mansabdars. Those whose Sawar rank was equal to Zat rank. Those whose Sawar rank was more than half of their Zat rank. And those whose Sawar rank was less than half of their Zat rank. Third category. Okay. Now, Zat rank was more important than the Sawar rank. Understand this. Zat rank was more important than Sawar rank. Zat rank was more important than Sawar rank. There could be a Mansabdar only with a Zat rank but without a Sawar rank. So there could be a Mansabdar only with Zat rank but without Sawar rank. There could be a Mansabdar only with Zat rank but without a Sawar rank. But there could never be a Mansabdar. There could never be a Mansabdar only with a Sawar rank. Only with a Sawar rank without a Zat rank. You get me? So Zat rank was more important than Sawar rank. So there could be a Mansabdar only with Zat rank but without a Sawar rank. But there could never be a Mansabdar only with a Sawar rank without a Zat rank. So Zat rank was more important than Sawar rank. Gaurav, did you understand? So there could never be a Mansabdar only with a Sawar rank without a Zat rank. So Zat rank was more important than Sawar rank. Okay. Now, so here Akbar assigned ranks between 10 to 10,000. Understand this. Akbar assigned ranks minimum. So it varied from 10, minimum of 10 to maximum of 10,000. So the to the Hazari, the to the Hazari. So 10 to 10,000. He assigned ranks between 10 to 10,000. The to the Hazari. Now, Zat, Nikhil determined the status and salary of the Mansabdar. How much, what was his status or Aukat? I told you I used that word Aukat. What is your level in the administration? The status and salary of the Mansabdar, that was determined by the Zat rank. Sawar rank fixed the number of troopers with horses and equipment to be maintained by a Mansabdar. Okay, so just listen then. Just focus on what I'm trying to tell you. Now, look here. The Mansabdars were paid either in cash or in the form of Jagirs. Mansabdars were paid either in the form of cash or in the form of Jagirs. That is land grants. Jagir means land grants. Those Mansabdars who were paid in cash, their salaries in cash, they were called Nakdi Mansabdars. Nakdi. Nakad, Urdu word Nakad. Or Hindi word is it? Nakad. Nakdi is Nakad. Nakad is, cash. Nakad. So they were called Nakdi Mansabdars. And those Mansabdars who were given Jagirs, land grants, came to be called Jagirdars. Those Mansabdars who were given salary in the form of Jagirs, land grants, were called Jagirdars. Are you there with me? Clear? Till here? All of you? Okay. Now, understand this. All Mansabdars were Jagirdars. All Mansabdars were Jagirdars. Or should I use the word most? Yeah, that's better. So, because some Mansabdars also received salary in the form of cash, isn't it? So, therefore, I'll use the word most. So, here, most Mansabdars were Jagirdars, but all Jagirdars were not necessarily necessarily Mansabdars. So most Mansabdars were Jagirdars. So that is whoever received their salary in the form of Jagirs, they were Jagirdars. So most Mansabdars were Jagirdars by default. But all Jagirdars were not necessarily Mansabdars. So what is the meaning of this? Now look here. See, for example, let's say there is a poet. Let us say I'm Akbar. Let's say I'm Akbar. Or let's say there's a person called, let's say Akbar is having a bad day. Okay, that day he fought with Jodha and Harka Bhai. Both of them, they shouted at Akbar. Akbar is feeling very bad unnecessarily. Both my wives have, got very angry with me. So he's in a very bad mood. He comes in a very sullen mood to the court and is in a very bad, state of mind. And some jester comes. And he starts cracking jokes. And Akbar, his mood changes. He starts laughing, and his mood changes. And he's laughing so much that the emperor fell down from the throne, laughing. Now, Akbar is very happy. He wants to reward this jester because the jester has changed his mood. So Akbar has given him 1,000 acres of land as a jagir. No, he has given him a land grant or jagir, 1,000 acres of land. So that jester becomes a jagirdar. But is he a mansabdar? No, because he is not holding any rank in the government. So all mansabdars were jagirdars, or most mansabdars who received their salary in jagirs were jagirdars. But all jagirdars were not necessarily mansabdars. Did you understand? Hello? All jagirdars were not necessarily mansabdars. Now look here. When the Mansab, what was the duty of the Mansabdar? His duty, understand this, the duty of the Mansabdar, the duty of the Mansabdar was to maintain law and order in that area. He was supposed to maintain law and order in that area. So he's got police powers. Then he will collect land revenue from the farmers. Okay, he'll collect land revenue and he will also act as a judge. He did not own any lands in that area. His duty was only to collect land revenue, maintain his duty was to collect land revenue, maintain law and order, and act as a judge in that area. So he did not have any personal property, personal lands, no personal lands. Okay, and he was transferable. The Mansabdar was transferable from one area to another area. He was transferable. Then when the Mansabdar died, all his property was confiscated by the Department of Baitul Mal. The Department of Baitul Mal confiscated all the property of the Mansabdar. Okay, so here Department of Baitul Mal confiscated all the property of the Mansabdar. So Mansabdar and his family will enjoy all the luxury, all the pelf, all the power, etc. When the Mansabdar is in power, when he's holding that position, once he dies, everything will be taken away by the government. Okay, so here, if he thinks that he can be very corrupt and save a lot of money for his, descendants, then he might not be able to do, because the government will take away all the property after the Mansabdar dies. So this is the Mansabdari system established by Akbar. So then you have, um, the so-called Dabishti system. The Bishti system. What is this Dabishti system? Under this Dabishti system, a Mansabdar had to he has to maintain 10 to 20 horses, 10 to 20 horses. The Bishti. So that is double the number of horses. No, so 10 to 20 horses. The Bishti system. What was the reason for this? See, like for example, take the example of a scooter, a scooter or a car. So what do you have? You have a stepney, isn't it? In a scooter, you have a stepney, and in a car also you have a stepney in the dicky. What is the purpose of a stepney? If the tire punctures, then you fix the stepney, and then you get the punctured tire repaired. Remove the puncture, so that you can proceed on your journey. This is a horse. So let us say the horse on that day is not in a mood to run. That horse doesn't want to run because it has got bored running. Or let us say the horse has got pregnant. It is time for delivery. That day the horse has to deliver. It cannot run. Or the horse has got injured. So the trooper cannot say, my horse is pregnant, my horse is injured, I cannot come to war. So he has to take a spare horse. So he will be allowed to maintain a spare horse. And then so that, he can continue to fight. He can go to the war. Or even the horses have to be given rest. So they have to travel a long distance. So he will rest one horse and he'll take the other horse for war or for his official purpose, whatever the purpose is. So that's called the Bishti system. Did you get me? So the Bishti system was there. So this is the Mansabdari system introduced by Akbar. And please understand, Akbar, I told you, Mansabdars were transferable from one area to another area. Why? Because so that they don't develop local roots. See, let us say there's a Mansabdar called A. So he's a very good Mansabdar. That area, he maintains law and order. He's very he is a very good administrator. He maintains peace and order in that area. People are very happy with him. He's not exploiting the people or committing atrocities on them. He's a very good judge. He has given fair justice to everybody. So people love him. Now, what happens is he is the first point of contact for the government. He is the first point of contact for the people of that area. He is the representative of the government in that area, the Mansabdar, and he has a people support. He has an army. Okay, he's a judge and he's collecting taxes. So he's virtually a king in that area, the Mansabdar. So if the people are supporting him and this Mansabdar is ambitious, let us say, he might develop local roots. He might declare himself a king, and because of the backing of his people and army, and he might want to break away from the Mughal Empire. So to avoid all such complications, Mansabdars were transferable from one area to another area, except the Rajput Mansabdars. Understand this. So Rajputs, Akbar gave a special privilege to the Rajputs. Rajputs were given Watan Jagirs. Understand? They were given Watan Jagirs and they were not transferable. What's the meaning of they were not transferable? Rajputs. Watan Jagirs. What is Watan Jagir? Raja Bharamal Kachwaha. Look here on your screen. Let's say Raja Bharamal Kachwaha of Amer, who gave his daughter in marriage to Akbar. Raja Bharamal Kachwaha of Amer. Right? He has accepted Akbar as his overlord and he's accepted to pay tribute to Akbar. So Akbar will allow him to rule over Amer, Jaipur. He will rule over Jaipur. Then Bharamal's son becomes the next Raja of that area. That is Raja Bhagwant Das. Raja Bhagwant Das. And Amer is his Watan Jagir. So Raja Bharamal Kachwaha will not be transferred out of Amer. He will rule over Amer as the king of Amer. He will maintain law and order in that area. He will collect land revenue in that area. He'll act as a judge in that area. And then that next Mansabdar will be his son, Raja Bhagwan Das, provided Raja Bhagwan Das also accepted Akbar as his overlord and agreed to pay tribute to Akbar. So Raja Bhagwan Das became the king of Amer. That was his Watan Jagir, Amer. So Rajput Mansabdars were not posted out of their homeland. Watan. Watan is homeland, right? So that was the special privilege Akbar gave to Rajputs, not to anybody else. So Akbar used the Rajputs to strengthen the Mughal Empire. He won over their loyalty. He married many Rajput princesses, and he won over the loyalty of the Rajputs. And they shed their blood like water for Akbar, the Rajputs, right? Then we come to Raja Man Singh. So Raja Bhagwant Das was succeeded by Man Singh. And Man Singh also continued to rule over Amer as his Watan Jagir. Did you understand Watan Jagir here? So Kennedy, it was pretty much the same, except that Kennedy is asking a comparison between Mansabdari system and Iqtadari system. Iqtadari system introduced by Iltutmish. So Iqtadas were also transferable, right? Like the Mansabdas were transferable. But then there was nothing called Watan Jagirs given to the Iqtadars. So Iqtadar's position depended upon the will and the wish of the Sultan. He could make or unmake an Iqtadar, right? And it was unlike a feudal system, as I told you, because in a feudal system, you have personal lands owned by the feudal lord. So Iqtadar never owned any personal lands. Similarly, the Mansabdar also did not own any personal lands. But then you have a ranking system. Akbar gave ranks to Mansabdars. That ranking system was not there under Iqtadars. Hello, are you there with me, Kennedy? So that's it. That's the difference. So they both are transferable. Both are transferable. Hello. Clear? The Bishti system is a trooper has to maintain double the number of horses, 10, 20. So a trooper, if he's having, if he's having, if there are 10 troopers, they have to maintain 20 horses, double the number of horses, right? So this was more with respect to the Savar rank, the Bishti system. Double the number of horses, so that horses can be rested during course of campaigning, or the horse can recover from its ailment. Let's say the horse has got loose motions, it cannot run because it is suffering from loose motions, or it is pregnant, it's time for delivery. Therefore, they'll take a spare horse and go. Like I gave you the example of a stepney, in a car or a scooter, you have stepney. The purpose is to see that if there's a puncture, you're not stranded. You can put the stepney, fix up the stepney, and continue your journey. So that's the whole idea. Clear? Yeah, transferable is change of place. from one place to another, like a DC or an SP is transferred from one place to another place, one district to another district. Mansabdars were transferable, except the Rajput Mansabdars, who could enjoy Watan Jagirs. Hello, are you there with me? This is called Mansabdari system. Clear? Okay. It was not hereditary. Definitely not hereditary. It was not hereditary. Mansabdari system was not hereditary. I told you once the Mansabdar died, all his property was confiscated by the Department of Baitul Mal. I told you, Department of Baitul Mal confiscated all the property of the Mansabdar. Yeah, Iqtadari system was also not hereditary. Iqtadars were transferred from one place to another place, right? Yeah, Watan Jagia, they were hereditary. Watan Jagirdars, Watan Jagirs were hereditary. So it would live, it would exist within the Rajput family, on the condition that family members, the descendants, are continued to accept the Mughal king as their overlord. Difference is only in rank. Yeah, rank and responsibilities. If the more the Zat rank, and more the Savar rank, more the liabilities, more the responsibility, and the power, and the status, and the salary. So ever correspondingly, all those increased depending upon what rank he held. I told you, na, three types of Mansabdar. Those whose Zat rank were equal to Savar rank. Second type of Mansabdar, those whose Savar rank was more than half of the Zat rank. Third, those whose Savar rank were less than half of the Zat rank. Right, Kennedy? Clear, easy, no? Nothing complicated, very simple. It is just a matter of understanding. Clear? Was Mansabdari a follow-up of Iqtadari? Not necessarily. So this Mansabdari system was basically introduced by Akbar to effect clean administration, to bring about clean administration. That was the whole idea of the Mansabdari system, right? Um, so that was the whole idea. It was not necessarily a fallout of the Iqtadari system. He might have been influenced partly, but then I told you the subtle difference between these two. There was no rank allotted to a Iqtadar, whereas there was a rank allotted to the Mansabdars. Hmm? Okay, so we'll come back here. So, administration of Akbar. So, Akbar believed that kingship is a ray of light emanating from God. So, what is the meaning of that? He based his idea of kingship, concept of kingship, on the idea of far-e is the. What is far-e is the? Kingship is a ray of light emanating from God. That is, what is the meaning of that? Everybody cannot become a king. You should have the light of God shining upon you. You should have the light of God shining upon you. For example, everybody cannot become the Prime Minister of India, isn't it? For example, Honorable BJP leader L.K. Advani, he's called Prime Minister in waiting. So he has become Deputy Prime Minister, but his dream was to become Prime Minister. He has never become the Prime Minister. But then we have Mr. Modi has become the Prime Minister. Deve Gowda became the Prime Minister. No, I know he himself might have not believed that one day he'll become Prime Minister when he began his political career. But then destiny so willed it that he became the Prime Minister of India. Even for 11 months, Mr. Deve Gowda became Prime Minister. So what Akbar is telling is, you should have the light of God, the rays of light of God falling upon you. Right? So kingship is a ray of light emanating from God. That's what Akbar believed. Then I told you he organized his nobility and his army by means of the Mansabdari system. Every officer was assigned a rank or a mansab. Ranks were divided into two, Zat and Savar. Zat and Savar. Zat fixed the status and salary of the Mansabdar. Savar rank indicated the number of cavalrymen, Savars, a Mansabdar was required to maintain. For every Savar, a Mansabdar was paid at a rate of 240 rupees per annum over and above his salary. A person who was required to maintain as many Savars as his Zat rank was placed in the first category. I told you, 500 Zat, 500 Savar. He was the first category. Third category is who maintain less than half in the third category. Less than half of the Sat rank is in the third category. More than half of the Sat rank in the second category. Then Mansab was not hereditary. The Sabah rank was distinguished by two special features. For every 10 cavalrymen, Mansabdar had to maintain 20 horses, known as the Bishti system. And a provision was made that the contingents of the nobles should be mixed ones. Mansabdars were assigned a jagir in lieu of cash payment. Instead of cash, they were given jagirs. Most of the Mansabdars, a jagir holder possessed only fiscal rights. That is, he could only collect taxes, strips of rights of land ownership. He cannot claim any right over that land, occupancy or residence. Jama was the estimated income from a jagir. So here I forgot to mention this part. I'll tell you this. I'll come to that. The Jama was the estimated income from a jagir. Hasil was the actual income from a jagir. Now look here. So I'll use another page. Okay, now look here. One of the reasons for the decline of the Mughal Empire later is the Jagirdari crisis. Understand this. One of the reasons for the decline of the Mughal Empire is the so-called Jagirdari crisis. Now, what is this Jagirdari crisis? Understand this. Very simple. Okay, let's say this is the Mughal Empire. This is the Mughal Empire. And this is the center. Emperor is here. Emperor is at the center. And from the time of Akbar, we have Mansabdars being given Jagirs. So let's say these are all the areas given away by Akbar as Jagirs to various Mansabdars. So this is Akbar who has given away all these areas, has Jagirs to various Mansabdars. Okay, to various Mansabdars, is given away these areas as Jagirs. And these are fertile areas. Okay, these are fertile areas. Then came his son Salim. So Salim became the next emperor. Okay, this is Salim or Jahangir. So Jahangir or Salim. And Salim gave away all these areas, has Jagirs to his Mansabdars. Okay, so there is something called a Hasil and a Jama. I have told you this. What is Jama? Jama and Hasil. What is Jama? Look here. Jama is estimated income. Jama is estimated income. Okay, from a Jagir and from a land. Then Hasil. Hasil is what you actually get, actual income. Estimated income and actual income. Jama Hasil. Now, when Akbar gave away lands, as Jagirs to his Mansabdars, the Jama was, the Hasil was almost equal to the Jama. Understand? The Hasil was almost equal to the Jama, or maybe more also. For example, let's say Akbar has given away this area called A to Mansabdar. And Akbar tells that Mansabdar A that the estimated income, the Jama from this area is 2 lakh. 2 lakh, okay, per year. That's the income from this area. Therefore, I'm giving away this fertile belt of land to you. Enjoy. So Jama, estimated income. And when the Mansabdar goes and takes charge of that area, when all the harvest gets over, and when he collects the income, he sees that he's almost getting the same amount of money, almost 2 lakhs. So he might have got about 1.95 lakhs as his hasil, almost equal to what was the estimated income. So fertile belt of land had been given by Akbar to all his Mansabdars. Similarly, Salim did the same thing. He also gave away fertile belt of land. Then to his Mansabdar. So the Hasil was equal to the Jama, or almost equal to the Jama. Then came Shah Jahan. And Shah Jahan also picked up fertile areas and gave away all these areas to his Mansabdars. Then came Aurangzeb. Now, during the time of Aurangzeb, what happened? We have something called Jagirdari crisis happening. What is this Jagirdari crisis? Here, there was a big difference between the Hasil and the Jama. So, for example, let us say Aurangzeb has given away this belt of land. Okay, let us say there's a person called B. There's a person called B, and B has been told that the Jama, that is the estimated income from this belt of land called this belt of land, is about 5 lakh, 5 lakhs. So that person called B is very happy because his estimated income from this belt of land will be 5 lakhs. But when actually agriculture takes place in that area and after the harvest, he collects the land revenue, he is getting only 1 lakh. There's a big difference between the Hasil and the Jama. And this particular Mansabdar became very, very frustrated and angry because what he thought he will get, he was not getting in his with all the effort he had put. So he was only getting 1 lakh. This is called Jagirdari crisis, which was one of the reasons for the decline of the Mughal Empire. Right? This is called Jagirdari crisis. All of you are there with me? Did you understand what is Jagirdari crisis? So there was a big discrepancy between the Hasil and the Jama. And that led to the frustration on the part of the Mansabdars because he did not have fertile lands to give. All the fertile lands had been given away earlier by the other emperors, Akbar, Jahangir, Shah Jahan, and then Aurangzeb had problems later. One of the reasons for the decline of the Mughal Empire is this so-called Jagirdari crisis. Okay, right? So, here Jama was the estimated income from land from a Jagir. Hasil was the actual income realized from a Jagir. In later period, Jama was inflated. Officers could not get the required Hasil. It led to the Jagirdari crisis. Right? Then I told you Rajput Mansabdars were given Watan Jagirs, patrimonial lands, as part of the Jagirs assigned to them. Sayurgal or Madadimash grants were given to scholars, religious men, etc. Sayurgal or Madadimash, scholars, religious men were given all these areas, all these land grants. Okay. No, not necessarily horses, Kennedy. I told you horses, elephants, bullock carts, camels, mules, soldiers, all those things, not just horses. Okay, did you get me, Kennedy? I've given you an example. It's very clear here. See, I've shown you this. See here, infantry 250, horses 25, camels 50, mules 25, 75, like that. Carts, bullock carts 100. So, all those things. Zat 500 means Zat rank of 500. It fixed the status and salary of the Mansar. What is the status of the Mansabdar in the government and what is his salary? So that was uniform. Mansabdar of 5,000 Zat, 5,000 Savar throughout the empire will get uniform salary. And his liabilities will be similar to all the other Mansabdars of his rank. Okay, equal number of infantry, cavalry, elephants, horses, mules, carts, etc. He has to maintain all the Mansabdas of that rank, 5,000 Zat, 5,000 Savar, have to maintain all these things throughout the empire uniformly. Kennedy, did you get me that? Kennedy? Yeah, so some Mansabdas were given cash salaries. They were called Nagdi Mansabdas. And some Mansabdas were given Jagirs. They were called Jagirdars. Okay. So let us talk about the land revenue system under Akbar. Land revenue system under Akbar. Now, Akbar initially followed the land revenue system of Sher Shah. Understand this? So, land revenue system of Akbar. He initially followed the land revenue system of Sher Shah. Later, experiments were conducted. Experiments were conducted by two people. Experiments were conducted by Raja Todarmal. So he was also a revenue minister under Sher Shah, Raja Todarmal, and Muzaffar Khan Turbati. Muzaffar Khan Turbati. So these people conducted experiments for how many years? For 10 years. For 10 years. So over a large piece of area. So over a large area, experiments were conducted. For how many years? For 10 years. And after conducting experiments on the land for 10 years, a revenue system was introduced, which has come to be called the Zapti system. Zapti system. Also called the Hasala system. Also called Todermal's Bandobast system. Todermal's Bandobast system. So after conducting experiments for more than 10 years, revenue system known as Zapti system or the Hasala system or Todermal's Bandobast system was introduced. It's also called Aini Dahasala or Aini Dahasala. So what is this Zapti system or Todermal's Bandobast system? So look here on your screen, understand this. So over this large area, experiments were conducted. So here, what are the various crops grown in this area? Let us say this is an area of 10,000 acres. I'll take this example. Let's say this is an area of 10,000 acres. Right. Now, what are the various crops grown in the last 10 years in this area? Let's say we have year one. Okay, this is the first year. So wait just here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, let's say what are the various crops grown in the last 10 years in this 10,000 acres. So what are the various crops grown? Like for example, let's say uh, rice is cultivated. Rice, wheat. Okay, wheat. Then let's say so rice, wheat. Let's say here vegetables, etc. And what are the prices, average prices of these which were grown in the last 10 years? What was the average price of rice 10 years back? So what was the price of this rice 10 years back? Let's say last 10 years back, the price of rice, 1 kg rice was, let us say, 10 rupees, right? So 10 rupees. 1 kg rice was 10 rupees. Then it became 20 rupees. Then 30 rupees. Then 15 rupees, like that. Wheat. So 1 kg wheat, let us say 15 rupees, then 20 rupees, then 40 rupees, so on and so forth. So in the last 10 years, what are the various crops grown and what are the prices of these crops? So then ultimately, 1/3 of the average produce fixed in rupees per biga was fixed as the land revenue. That's how a mean was taken. That is called Dahasala system or Aini Dahasala. You can see on your screen. Just hold on. See here on your screen. So on your screen. So Akbar adopted Sher Shah's system initially. I told you in 1582, Akbar instituted a new system called Dahasala, also called Zapti system or Todamal's Bandobast system. Bandobast system. Under this system, average produce of different crops and their average prices prevailing over the last 10 years were calculated. 1/3 of the average produce fixed in rupees per biga was fixed as the land revenue. One third of the average produce fixed in rupees per biga was fixed demand as the state share. And this one third was called Rai. This one third of the average produce was called Rai. Did you get me? I don't know how many of you got it. So, average produce of all these crops in the last 10 years, average prices of all these crops were calculated, and one third of the average produced, fixed in rupees per biga. Biga is a unit of land, was fixed as the land revenue. So he was able to get a consistent source of income. Instead of ups and downs, he was able to reach a mean, even if the rains failed or there was some natural calamity like a pest attack, or some elephants have damaged the crop. So taking all those vagaries into consideration, an average amount of income was coming into the treasury, and that is called the Dasala system or Zapti system or Todarmal's Bandobast system. Are you there with me? Are you clear? Hello. So average produce of different crops and average prices prevailing over the last 10 years were calculated. One third of the average produce fixed in rupees per biga was fixed as the state share. Right. Now, depending upon the fertility of the land was divided into four categories on your screen. Depending upon the fertility of the land was divided into four categories: Polaj, Parauti, Chachar, and Banjar. Polaj, Parauti, Chachar, Banjar. So what is this Polaj, Parauti, Chachar, Banjar? Polaj is you can cultivate 2 to 3 crops in a year. Very fertile land. So land which was very good, cultivate 2 crops per year. Very fertile land. Parauti. Parauti is you leave the land fallow or uncultivated for every year. Every 1 year. So 1 year you cultivate it, next year you leave it uncultivated, fallow. So land had to be left fallow for 1 year. So 1 year you cultivate, then next year you don't cultivate. Then third year you cultivate, fourth year you don't cultivate. So that the land regains its fertility, moisture. That is Paroti. Chachar. Chachar is you leave the land uncultivated for 3 or 4 years. 1 year you cultivate, first year, then third, fourth, fifth year you don't cultivate. Again, fifth year you cultivate. Then again, third, sixth, seventh, eighth year you don't cultivate. So every 3 or 4 years you don't cultivate so that the land regains its fertility. That's called chachar. Banjar land, you cannot cultivate anything on that because it is very unfertile. It is not fertile at all. Banjar land. So Palaj, Paroti, Chachar, Banjar. Zapti system, Kennedy, Zapti system, I told you. So here experiments were conducted over a large area by these two people, Muzaffar Khan Turbati and Raja Todarmal. Then once experiments were conducted, they divided the land into four categories: Pulaj, Paroti, Chachar, Banja. Then one third of the average produce. So here, what was the average? What were the various crops cultivated in the last 10 years, and what were their average prices? That was calculated. What were the various crops cultivated in that land from the last 10 years, like rice, wheat, paddy, barley, bajra, jowar, etc. Those all those crops, what are the various crops cultivated in the last 10 years was calculated, and what was the average prices of those crops in the last 10 years, that was calculated. And one third of the average produce fixed in rupees per biga. Fixed in rupees per biga was fixed as the land revenue. So that is called Bandobast system or Zapti system of Raja Todarmal. Okay, I hope I'm clear. Then land revenue was known as Mal or Kharaj. Then we have different methods of revenue sharing by the government. Galla Bakshi, Bauli, Batai, Kankut, and Nasak. Understand this. So what is Galla Bakshi, Bauli, Batai? Sharing of crop between the government and the producer. Sharing of crop between the government and the producer. What is the meaning of this? Galla Bakshi, Bauli, Batai. So let us say there's a field here. You can see on your screen, this is a field. Okay, so this is owned by a farmer called A, and he has cultivated wheat. Okay, on these 4 plots of land, A, B, C, D, he has cultivated wheat. And let us say it's ready for harvest. The wheat crop is ready for harvest. Government officials will come. Revenue officials, and they will tell this farmer A that this much is the government share as land revenue. They will mark it. They will measure the land and they'll mark that area on the field only, and they'll cut it and take it away. Okay, that is one way. Khet batai, that's called khet batai. Or let us say the farmer has already cultivated the, he's already done the harvest. He has cut the crop, and he has, he has stored the grains like this in mounds, like this. There are 3, 4 mounds of wheat he has stored like this. So government officials will come and they will say this mound is the government's tax, and they will take away that mound as the government's tax. So this is the sharing of crop between the government and the producer. That's called Galla Bakshi Bauli Batai. Sharing of crop between the government and the producer. There were 3 types: Batai, Khet Batai, Lang Batai. 3 types of sharing of crop between the government and the producer. Second is Kankut. That is sample survey. Assessment of land revenue for the whole area based on sample survey. So let me give an example. Sample survey. So let us say there's a huge area. Let's say there's a huge area here. This is about 10,000 acres. Okay, this is 10,000 acres. So government might, it might take a long time for the government officials, the revenue officials, to measure the land, measure the crops, and then fix the land revenue. So what they will do is they will take a sample survey. They'll make a sample survey. So for example, let us say they measure 5 acres. They measure 5 acres of land, and then they'll fix the land revenue on these 5 acres. Okay, and then taking that as a sample, they will apply that sample to the entire 10,000 acres. That's called sample survey. Did you get me that? Hello, all of you. So they will only measure a part of the 10,000 acres. They will calculate the tax to be paid on that 5 acres, right? And then they will apply the same calculation to the rest of the 10,000 acres. Hello, are you there with me? That's called sample survey. Kankut, assessment of land revenue for the whole area based on sample survey. And lastly, Nasak. Nasak is based on past experience. Assessment of land revenue based on past experience. So what was the tax paid by the farmer in the previous years, last 5 years, last 10 years? What is the tax he's being paying? You pay the same tax this year also. That is Nasak. Did you get me, Dinesh? I did not understand your question. Yes, sir. But what if remain land were not fertile? So they will see Banjar land is not. They will not. Nothing is cultivated on the Banjar land. Only tax is assessed taking the average of all these different types of land: Polaj, Paroti, Chachar, Banjar. So, what are the various crops grown in these various fertile lands? What was the average prices in the last 10 years? 1/3 of the average produce fixed in rupees per biga was fixed as the land revenue. So that mean was taken as the land revenue. Did you get me that, Dinesh, Kennedy? This is so from these areas, questions can come in the UPSC. They'll not ask you easy questions. They'll ask you questions from these areas, and such areas you should focus on. Clear, all of you? So one more thing, just before we go home, just hold on, because I can finish this. Then we can go to other aspects of Akbar's rule tomorrow. Nankar, understand this. What is Nankar? The 1/10 of the produce was given to the zamindar has Nankar allowance for he assisting the government in the collection of revenue. So here, please understand, Nankar is what? The zamindar of that area is the one who is collecting the taxes from the farmers. Okay, so since the zamindar of that area, on behalf of the government, is collecting the taxes from the farmers after measuring, getting the land measured, etc., he will be given 1/10 of the produce as allowance. That's called nankar. Okay, nankar. That is 1/10 of the produce given as nankar to the zamindar who assisted the government in the collection of revenue. Then what is malikana? Malikana is government officials, revenue officials. They will go to the farm, they will measure the land, and they'll collect taxes from the farmer directly. They will not involve the zamindar. But then, since the zamindar has been the hereditary zamindar of that area, he is the proprietary head of that area. From his forefathers' time, he has been the zamindar of that area. So he is given an allowance because of that reason, because he has been a proprietary head of that area from a long time, from his forefathers' times. So therefore, he was given an allowance. That is called Malikana. that amounted to 25% of the imposts and perquisites lost. Whatever privileges he would lose, because here the government officials are directly measuring the land and collecting the taxes from the farmer. Nothing was paid to the zamindar. They did not involve the zamindar, but zamindar was paid some compensation because he was the proprietary right. He had the proprietary right over that area. His forefathers had been zamindars over that area from a long time, and therefore he was given a certain amount of allowance. That is called malikana. Okay. Denkli, Chadas, Sakya were water lifting devices. Water lifting devices were Denkli, Chadas, Sakya. You can see here on your screen. This is Sakya. Sakya is something like a Persian wheel. You can see on your screen, to the left of your screen. This is called Sakya. Okay. Persian wheel. Chadas. This is something like a bucket. So you can draw a huge amount of water from this chadas. And then Sadhu for Denkli. You can see you have a counterweight here. You have a counterweight here. So this person is drawing water from the lake or tank or whatever it is, river. And then when he lifts it beyond a particular level, the counterweight will take over. So with less effort, is able to lift the water from from a deeper level for irrigation. This is called Shaduf or Denkli. These are all water lifting devices. I think I've run out of time. We'll continue tomorrow. Are you there with me? Not Nayankar, Baba, Puja. It's Nankar. One tenth of the produce was given as allowance to the zamindar for having collected the revenue on behalf of the government. He was given so out of 100, let us say 100 bags of paddy, he'll be given 10 bags as his allowance. The staff service commission, I don't know, Gaurav. Please look at the previous year questions, Gaurav. Please look at the previous year question papers of SSC exam. Then you'll get an idea. Okay, I will not be able to comment. I don't know. So we'll meet tomorrow, all of you. You have a good night's sleep. We'll meet tomorrow at 10 o'clock. So we'll complete Mughal Empire, then Marathas, Shivaji, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. Then we go to Suri dynasty, Vijayanagara. And once we finish Vijayanagara, that will be the end of medieval India. We can start with art and culture. Let's see. Tomorrow, towards the end, we might be able to start art and culture. I'll give an overview of art and culture, and we can start with art and culture. Okay? So you have a great evening, and we'll meet tomorrow. What's your question, Gaurav? Which reference book for this part? Satish Chandra. Refer to Satish Chandra, and I've also told you about Punam Dalal Dahiya. These two books should be sufficient. Satish Chandra, Punam Dalal Dahiya. Medieval India by ancient medieval Punam Dalal Dahiya. That should be sufficient. Okay, so you have a great day. We'll meet tomorrow. Thank you. Yeah, Kennedy, both will apply. Any one of them will do, Kennedy. Okay, good night. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the session. We'll meet tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Carry on.